is really stunning on just how bad CNN was yesterday, and Fox too, but CNN was really pushing this, and everybody was citing CNN, and now like literally it was so bad that now when I see stuff from CNN just the next day, I hesitate. It was really bad at about 1:45. And if you want to see we'll put a link to this. Majority Report producer emeritus Dorsey, who's over at BuzzFeed now, put up a great timeline that is worth seeing. But at 1:45 p.m., John King from CNN cites a Boston law enforcement source as saying that I've just been told an arrest has been made. And then they go on where Fran Townsend, the Bush administration, some type of counterterrorism official, she was horrible in that position. Just a huge political hack. She adds some information about it may be domestic, it may be this and that. Literally at 2:03, CNN analyst Juliet Kamen says, quote, "We're being very cautious and speculative at this stage." So listen to this compilation that Media Matters put together of some of what was happening in the afternoon. This is it's just amazing. Go play this.
From that, I was told that they have a breakthrough in identification of a suspect. And I'm told I want to be very careful about this because people get very sensitive when you say these things. I was told by one of these sources, who was a law enforcement official, that this was a dark-skinned male. The official used some other words. I'm not going to repeat them until we get more information. Because of the sensitivities, there are some people who will take offense even at saying that, and I understand that. I'm just saying this was relayed to me by a reputable law enforcement source, a source who had been briefed on the investigation. I should say that the suspect was a dark-skinned male, and that's information that comes from the police. I know there are people
and we
out there.
can't say whether the person spoke with a foreign accent or an American accent or anything like that. That would be premature.
Right.
So first off, I suspect what that source had to say after John King. He said, he told me they was dark-skinned. He said some other things that I'm not going to say. I suspect what those other things were. Oh, and incidentally, this is just a joke. This is just, I'm spitballing here. And then Wolf Blitzer has said it would be insensitive to comment as to whether or not it has an American accent or a foreign accent. I mean, this is just stunning. I mean, man, where do you go from this? You go work for Breitbart.com or what? I mean, it's just sloppy. It's so sloppy, and they're so desperate to make themselves relevant again. They did the same thing with the Supreme Court ruling, and they blew that too. I mean, it's starting to get to the point where if there's a breaking story, if you anticipate breaking news, go to CNN to find out what is not the story.
The opposite.
The opposite.
It's the opposite news network.
The most opposite name in news.
I could totally picture the rest of the stuff the cop said being something like, "And why are you asking me? I'm just a beat cop."
Right. Hey,
I tell you what, I'm a janitor. I don't really know, but I think I saw some, I don't know how to say, some brown-skinned guy,
well, look,
dark-skinned guy.
the one thing I will say this is that when I was listening to the police scanner on the day of the marathon, the police were saying to each other at the time that they had found an incendiary device at the JFK library. They were saying this on the radio. Now, it's just too early. And the problem is that these guys were at CNN were just so hyped to report anything that this is what they continue on with this.
And again, this source did use further language to characterize, and I'm just, as a reporter who's been through a lot of these, who knows that sometimes the information you get does not in the end turn out to be what happens in the end. I'm making a personal judgment, forgive me, but I think it's the right judgment.
I think you may have wanted to make another personal judgment about the initial one. I mean, this is pretty damaging for John King. This is all you have, right? Is your ability to assess whether or not your source is credible. And you know, I don't consider myself a reporter, but I sift through news from many different sources and make assessments about credibility all the time. And my credibility hinges upon that. And if I'm not confident, super confident, I just won't repeat it. I will say, I'm going to eat it on this story. I won't be out in front of this story because I just don't feel confident in what I'm reading. And I'm willing to, you know, have people email me and say, why aren't you covering this? And have people say, you weren't out in front. But that's part of what the job is. And, you know, you gotta suffer the consequences of that. Do we have any more? No, that's it. So, you know, CNN, I don't know what to tell you, but that's pretty bad.
Well, and I mean, just I think to really highlight it's bad on a news level, it's bad on a journalism level, and then to compound all that irresponsibility by throwing out the race of somebody.
Well,
what
to be
already
fair,
is
they said brown, and so they could have just meant like, you know, somebody who was tan. It was a tan guy. His complexion is, I mean, that's the other aspect of this that is so sort of stunning, is that it's just highly irresponsible to talk about the guy's skin complexion because that's really irrelevant. Hey, I live in Revere, or I live, I live in Quincy. I go to the beach a lot. And, you know, a lot of people are like, why you go to the beach? Oh, I like to go to tanning salons. And then, and this is the guy.
John Boehner.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
No, I mean,
what does it tell us?
No, I mean,
that the guy's complexion is sort of brown. It doesn't tell us anything at that point.
Absolutely, that's true substantively, but I'm just saying in that environment and where people go, when you throw that out, knowing how people are going to interpret it and run with it, I think it's just this whole other element.
That's
of just
my point.
Atrocious.
That's my point.
Right.
Is that saying the guy is brown-skinned means nothing. If the cop says to you, okay, even if it's the most sort of the most reliable source you could know, it's your brother-in-law. He's never lied to you ever. And he goes, John, the guy's got a brown complexion. As a reporter at that point, you say, that's meaningless. That's like saying, like, the guy has brown eyes. That's meaningless. It doesn't tell us anything. You need more information. That is just chum. That is just link bait. There's nothing to that. And the only reason why you repeat that, as you say, is because it gives people an inflection point to argue, maybe the guy's an Arab. It's meaningless. It doesn't tell you, if you were to be told the guy has a Arabic surname, that is something to report, I think. It doesn't necessarily tell you why he's done it, but it's something that is at least substantive in some fashion because it goes towards the guy's identity. The fact that he has a brown complexion is meaningless.
Well, and then working backwards from both premises is assuming that there actually was somebody to begin with.
Well, and then on top of that, apparently this person was fictional. Or I mean, who knows? They may have a suspect. Somebody may have said stuff ahead of the idea. I mean, obviously somebody just got the wrong information. But the brown complexion thing is really, at the end of the day, the most offensive because it tells you nothing. It tells you nothing. It's just sort of link bait.